I wanted to do this video in response to a lot of different things. I've seen people, making videos this plane, number one, without my permission, which I don't really have a problem with. But if you're going to make a video of this jet, make sure it's folded properly and correctly. And this is a response and a critique of the way I've seen people folding this jet and just destroying it. Okay, so if you want to do a video on this jet, make sure it's folded correctly. And what I mean correctly, I mean everything has to be specifically like this. The wings can't be too far back, this can't be too far forward, which I've seen everyone do. The locking mechanism actually has to close. You can't be left open in the back. The wings have to be perfectly level and straight. They can't be one higher or lower than the other one. Everything has to be precisely made. Okay? Everything has to be very, very precisely made. Everything has to be identically symmetrical. It can't be kinda close. It has to be spot on. If it's not going to fly the way it's designed to, which I'm going to show you here. I've seen other people, wanting to, they take this and they recreate it in like video games, or there's people that want to make RC versions of it, which is fine, but I want to make sure that, everyone is making this jet. They're not making a poor attempt at replicating this jet. Okay, and I wanted to make this video too to kind of address address some of the comments I've seen on the Foldable Flight's channel. Now, Foldable Flight did an excellent job with his video. Okay, I'm not faulting him for that at all. He did a great job. He's a great pilot. He did a good job of flying the plane around. But there's some people that think that it's fake because they can't make the plane. And like so many people out there, they don't want to take fault, and they want to try to blame someone else for their shortcomings. And they think somehow that, we have to magically portray or do whatever it is that we need to do to enable them to make a plane that they're really not capable of doing. And there's no way that I can impart, the skills needed to make this airplane through a video to you if you don't have the skills to make it. Okay? There's nothing wrong with my videos. There's nothing wrong with Foldable Flight's videos. The video is suitable for the level of skill required to fold the plane. And you can test that because there's people that are making the plane and flying it quite successfully. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with the video. If you're one of them people saying there's something wrong with the video, or the plane is fake and it's CGI and it doesn't fly, you need to take a look at yourself. This is the real deal, okay? And I'm going to go through and I'm going to specifically talk about what you have to do to get this plane to fly. Because if you don't do specifically what I tell you to do, it's not going to fly. And it's not my fault. It's not my fault for going too fast or having my hands in the way or any other excuse that you can come up with. It's not my fault. It's your lack of motor skills and lack of origami ability that's to blame. Not me, not Foldable Flight, no one else. You. I don't want to hear no more crap about, it's too hard and I should make a jet that looks like this, but it should be easier. So somehow I'm supposed to violate the laws of physics and fold a piece of paper in half and get this same result. Because somehow I'm making this thing more complicated than it needs to be because you can't fold it. Because that's not convenient for you. Okay, I'm tired of hearing that crap. I've been hearing that crap ever since I published books back in 2006. Everyone's blaming the diagrams. And that's a load of crap. I'm going to tell you right now, there's people that can take crease patterns, just seeing a picture of the crease pattern on the internet, and then they can fold the model, okay? It's not my fault that you lack the ability, and it's not my job to magically give you the skills needed to fly this plane just because it's convenient for you and you want that to happen. There's no way I can do that, okay? You need to realize that origami is a meritocracy, and you have to have skills and motor skills to do this stuff. All right. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to show you, me throwing this plane around, in the proper way of throwing it, because some people can make the plane, but they lack the ability to throw it. They think that, you just do that and it's supposed to magically glide like a glider. This is not a glider and it's not a dart. It's a fighter jet. These things are made to be stable and consistent. Okay? So these things are made to be taken outside and flown in the air and maneuvered, like in the the upcoming video I'm going to show you. They're designed to be flown outside, and they fly at a high airspeed so they can turn into the wind and fly. Whereas any other flimsy plane will get blown all over the place. That's why I make these jets. They're made to fight other airplanes, and I will make a video on how to dogfight later on. But later in this video, you'll see me, throwing this thing around and maneuvering it like that. That's what it's supposed to do. It's not supposed to go up and spin and then just kind of crash, and it's not supposed to kind of glide like that. It's not like any other plane that you've made before. These fighter jets are a different class of airplane, and they do different things. And there's the people asking, like, why should I make that? I could just make an airplane like I did in high school and throw 150 feet. Well, yeah, you can also throw a rock 150 feet. And I know exactly what they're talking about, what kind of plane they're talking about. It's just a rolled up piece of paper. Those things can't maneuver. And if you want to make a glider, you pretty much got to fly it inside. So if you want something you could take outside and fly around in a controlled manner and maneuver like a real airplane, then you need a fighter jet. That's why I designed these things. So that's why you'd fold this as opposed to any other, typical airplane, because you can take it outside and you don't have to have a big airplane hangar that you got to pay $300 for a day to rent, or have to make a special appointment to go fly airplanes in a gym or something like that. You can take these outside and you can fly them like a normal plane, because airplanes are supposed to be flown outside, not inside. So now, the paper I used here is, I explain later on, it's a sandwich of cellophane and foil paper. So this plane right here is waterproof. As you can see it shining. This will last forever. This is basically a toy. This is almost a toy. You take it outside, you can throw it around, it can fly. You don't have to worry about putting batteries in it, and you have to worry about it getting all wet and stuff, because if it gets dirty or muddy, you just wipe it off. That's it. Then some planes will work with this type of paper and some won't. The Diamondback, you can use thin paper like tracing paper all the way up to 100 GSM paper, so long as it's folded correctly and accurately. The lighter the paper is, the easier it is to balance. The heavier it is, the more difficult, and it could complicate things. You might get a little bit better range, but your maneuverability isn't going to be so good. But I would recommend, this right here. So, that was my thoughts on just, watching people kind of take this and do whatever they want with it. And I'm going to show you, what I've seen people doing wrong when they're folding the plane. So, without any more, I'm going to show you what I did. Alright, the kind of paper I used here is foil paper. And what I did is I taped the foil paper to a thicker piece of paper, ran it through the printer, and took it out of the printer, and then I took cellophane and used spray adhesive to laminate it. So basically this is waterproof paper. If you make a jet from a paper like this, it's going to last forever pretty much, and it's going to be waterproof. Alright, so, and that being said, if you do use it, it's going to increase the range that it flies, because it's smoother and the foil keeps the plane together better. So let's begin. Now, depending on the thickness of the paper, if you're using 24 pound or something, you might want to fold these neck steps just a little bit away to compensate for the thickness of the paper. So we're going to fold this in half to make sure everything is symmetrical. Since this paper is kind of thick, I'm going to fold it just a tad away from the corner there. Let's make sure everything is lined up. Everything has to be lined up perfectly. And using that crease that you'd made right there, fold from there to there. And you have to make sure that it comes to a specific point. You can't fold a little bit here or a little over there. You have to fold specifically right there at that tiny intersection. If you don't do that, your plane's not going to fly. Now notice, see how everything comes to a perfect point. It's not over here, it's not down here, this isn't down here, it's not up there. It's specifically and precisely at these intersections. Notice how the wings are perfectly matched. Okay, one wing isn't like bent way down here and the other one's way over here. They're perfectly matched, perfectly lined up. If you can't do that, it's not going to fly. Make sure that that's all lined up perfectly at the back. Now, you want to inside reverse fold this up so it comes to a point right here, not down here and not like way up. And additionally, you're going to have to use that point right here to kind of pivot this fold out so that it lines straight with this edge. Not down here, not over here, or some other crazy stuff. Perfectly with this line. And it kind of takes a little bit of adjusting. Like that. As always, make sure this comes to a precise point without tearing. And this is a mistake I've seen lots and lots of people make. When you're inside reverse folding this, you will have to start the fold right there. Not over here, not up there, not this crazy stuff. Right there. This line right here is going to line up with these edges perfectly. And that's the easiest way of starting it. Like that. And just close it up and make sure that these two tail fins are evenly lined. What I like to do is I fold this in with just a little bit of this edge sticking out. That makes it easier to balance. You fold this up, and sometimes you have to compensate depending on the thickness of the paper. But you want to fold this edge to that edge. Not way up there or way down here or whatever y'all do. It has to be done in this specific manner, just like that. Fold that down. And fold this back up underneath. If you fold this up too much, you're not going to have much of a keel to grab to fly the airplane. And you fold this up. Make sure this comes to a point at the back. Give yourself plenty of room to hold like that. Okay. Now what I like to do is I'll take an edge of a surface, a square edge, and then flatten these wings out. They're not really straight, so you want to straighten them out. Make sure they're all straight. So whenever you're flying this airplane and you're trying to balance it, it's best to use these right here. I wouldn't mess with these too much. The air lines in the back. It's actually better to slightly adjust the tail fins. And I'm not talking about doing this or this crap. You barely have to bend them like that. You barely touch them, depending on how far hard it's spinning. So if your plane doesn't have wings that match up like that, if you have one wing that's way down here and one that's up there, it's not gonna fly. Okay, if your tail fins don't look specifically like this at the specific angle, if they're too far forward or too far back, it's not gonna fly. If you have one wing that's lower than the other one, it's not gonna fly. This airplane has to look specifically like this, down to the every tiny angle for it to fly. If it does not have all the angles correct, it's not gonna fly the way it's supposed to. Like I showed you earlier in the video. So when you're throwing it, like I showed you earlier, you don't just do that and expect it to glide. You don't grab it like this. You don't grab it like that. You grab it right there and you give it a long, smooth toss, firm toss. And it's not supposed to go up like a dart and spin. It ain't supposed to do that. It's supposed to fly level and pull up. It's supposed to generate lift. Like I showed you earlier, it can turn, and it's what it's meant to do. So if your airplane is inaccurate and it's not perfectly symmetrical, when I say perfectly symmetrical, I mean look at this. Okay? Everything is identical to within like the tolerance of the width of my thumbnail or less. If your airplane is not that precisely made or accurately made, it's probably not going to fly. It might go maybe 1 or 2 feet, like y'all are complaining about. Alright, so that's the video, and that's my critique on the way y'all been folding this thing. And I hope y'all learned something from it.